So again, finding the perspective, this is the first vertical line as it tapers over left or right, trying to build this up. But I've already gone ahead and given a little bit of the angle of this suitcase. It'll be curved, but there's the parameters for it. I'm going to make it almost a tangent at the bottom, meaning almost touching the composition. And it has a little bit of three-point perspective where all the angles taper. These go to the left vanishing point, these go to the right, and these down to the base. And once I have this, like I said, if you get lost in an organic type drawing, go back to a mechanical part. There's the curve. These pieces right there. So you can kind of see that section repeated pretty easily there. And any rectangle that you find, if you don't have one, you can make one just to find the center of this piece. And that transfers back. So you kind of have a pretty good setup. This is a little bit of a curve. And these are a little bit worn and weathered, so you can have a little bit of flexibility to it, give a little more character. So that's the beginning part of it. If I have to locate the center of these clasps, details up in here, I can do the same thing, cross the diagonal from here, and it's going to be right there. And that gives me that section. And you can visually see there's more space between here. It gets smaller as it goes back. And that'll give me a setup for it. And again, it's just a square. Just to start it out. It has the same thing repeated in the back, getting smaller, so you can just draw it smaller. There's an elliptical clasp on this cylindrical part right there, and then it stretches over. So it's pretty complicated at first. It looks easy, and when you simplify it just by breaking this down. And then the handle doing this. So just remember the handle is based off of a square, round it off, and just make it thicker. And this will overlap and pick up the bottom part. And again, once you see it, you can begin to outline it. And we'll build that part up. And again, so it's a detail that you kind of simplify a little bit, just so you can see it in there. And again, the good thing about the reference is that you can do a number of things, but also see just how large this is. And here's a little clasp for so that's the top of it. See how you do, just go ahead and lay this part out. Gets down to this bracket right down the middle. Just going to curve it. Seam goes down there. And then all the rest of it you see is kind of a stitching pattern, so it's offset almost the same distance here. And it just kind of echoes that pattern, so just a subtle detail there. And again, just taking a look at that piece. So you can use a straight edge to help you on some of it. Just giving that edge to it. And this line that has this inside line is not as strong because it's got the stitching. And some of it's separated, but it does come down to the bottom there. And these lines, you can draw them pretty heavy and not worry about it because you shade right over the top of it. But that gives you that front segment of the case. And then the rest of it, the stitching, is almost a subtle design aspect of it. So if you take a look at this, and it helps with the contour, actually with the cross contour, to show the volume of this. And again, you can, the straight edge is appropriate to help you get it set up first. And then there's this extra piece of a stitching line here. And then when you take a look at the top, so for most of the drawing, just with the outline, kind of signifies just about everything that's on there. And it's just a matter of taking the second part and again bringing it back to the idea of shading, where the light source goes from almost like a gradient, thinking of it from the computer side, from a dark to a light segment coming down. And these lines trying to go with the form in the perspective, so it's creating a crosshatch even though you may not see it. Subtleties there, some of it might break through. So that becomes the one side of it. Just put this segment here. And like I said, when you draw the lines pretty heavy, right now it's losing some of that detail in the shading, so you can always go back and accent it and bring it back to life there a little bit. So here there's the tone on this curve is softer shaded, so then again going this direction with the tone and just trying to get some motor control in there, and just a little reflected light. But right up there's the highlight. And between the two materials, the leather and the metallic parts of the handles and the clasps, you can go back in and accent those a little bit. Okay. So here's where you can go back and accent some of those edges again. So like right on this metal clasp. See if you can get that